This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
The man Tom Murphy of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette and Whole Hog Sports now joins us here on a Tuesday, as he always does at 8 o'clock. Tom, welcome in, man. You going to both games today?
That's the plan. See how long baseball runs. But, yeah, I'm excited that we're going to have a little to overlap, and the weather's looking better. You can hear the birds outside more. These are good days.
Yeah. Game on. Let's see. Baseball, if it goes right, should be done 6:30-ish. Then you just kind of sashay up to the arena and be there good to go.
Yeah, and against a Georgia team for these Razorbacks that they've kind of, had their number in recent years. I've covered a couple of wins in Athens, and obviously Arkansas is 12-3, I believe, or something along those lines at home against Georgia since joining the conference, and it's a game they really need to win.
Tom, last game they changed up the starting lineup for the first time in a while. Are we going to see different lineups, you think, from here on out, or do you think Muss is going to stick with Nick and four other guys in the remaining 4 regular season games and as we enter the SEC tournament?
That's a good question. I think he'll go with whatever he believes gives him the best shot at getting off to a fast start. I mean, Ricky Council has been in there, and I think he's a guy who, if you do bring off the bench, could be instant offense guy. It looks like the last few games, Ricky has not. I mean, he's gotten out on the transition a few times, but it seems to me he's tried to be more of a facilitator. He hasn't driven in as much as he did in some of those games when Nick Smith was out. So, it's tough to say, but I think they felt like they were in a place where Nick Smith needed to start against a more guard-oriented lineup against Florida. So that's the unit they deployed in that game first.
Tommy asked a good question earlier talking about conference record in these Final Four games, SEC tournament. You're locked in right now from every bracketologist that I've seen. I've looked at over 100 of them. Tom, what do you got to do the rest of the way to not be nervous on Selection Sunday?
Wow. Well, the simple answer is this: win at either Tennessee or Alabama. Because I think that's, your net ranking is going to really get a great injection if you do that. However, I also think if they can just beat Kentucky again here in the season finale and then beat Georgia tonight, they can, don't go get blown out by 40 against Bama, then I think you're okay. And I would not be in a good frame of mind if I just maybe skeech by the 2 home games, lose both the road games, and then lose in the first game in the SEC tournament. I wouldn't feel comfortable there because when I looked at it yesterday, I did not look at 100, but Arkansas was pretty much a 10 seed. So then you start seeing the bubble teams creeping up on you. Now, quick sidebar here. If that includes teams like West Virginia, which had a 5-10 record, I think, in the Big 12 prior to yesterday winning against Oklahoma State, then I'd feel a little bit better. I mean, they played a tough schedule, but that's not a very good conference record. So Arkansas at 9-9 in the conference, I feel pretty good that they would make the tournament.
How do you feel about the SEC on a national scale? Is this a 6-bid, 7-bid league? How deep do you think this conference goes with the committee? Yeah,
well, I mean, it's Jerry Palm, who has a pretty good track record, had 8 yesterday, and that included Mississippi State. So they really can't afford any slip-ups down the way. I don't mean they have to win out, but they need to be strong, and they have finished the second half of conference playing really well. They kind of like pulled an Arkansas from last year, so to speak. But Kentucky also had been on the bubble, and then, with their recent wins, including at Mississippi State, have gotten themselves off, and then sweeping Tennessee, and they seem to be playing a lot better. So it's going to be a different feel, different mojo Kentucky team coming in here to end the season. And then Arkansas, I guess, would be the third to last. I was a little frustrated at how slowly it took for the national analysts to accept Texas A&M's fast start in the SEC and just include them. I mean, yeah, they're pre-conference. They had a bad loss to Wofford, and they were 7-5 or whatever it was. It wasn't great, but you could just watch this team play and say they belong in the NCAA tournament, in my view. And they've got great wins. They've won 19 of their last 22 games against the SEC teams. I don't see how you leave them out. So I think the SEC is a solid 7 with the potential to get 8.
Yeah, and right now you got 9 teams that have records of 7-7 or better. I just get nervous with the thought that if Arkansas doesn't have at least a 9-9 regular season conference record, 8-10 makes me nervous going into Selection Sunday.
Oh gosh, yeah, I would say so, because that would mean you would have lost another home game, likely going down the stretch.
You'd have to. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and so you'd have to.
You'd
right?
have to.
So,
yeah, I'm not looking. You got 2-2 left. Yeah, you'd have to. So
yeah, so that's you would not want to do that, and then you'd also perhaps slip behind Kentucky and Mississippi State in the committee's eyes, and I just don't know if you want to do that now. Just the fact that they're going to play on the road at Tennessee and Alabama is going to help their net rankings, and so you would like to see Tennessee close a little bit stronger, except maybe not a win over the Razorbacks to help keep that boosted up. So I don't know. I get a decent feel the way they've played recent road games, A&M, Baylor winning at Kentucky, the way they've competed in these games gives me the thought that they're going to really compete against Bama and Tennessee.
Talking with Tom Murphy, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, Whole Hog Sports. You bring up Alabama, Tom. They have Purdue, Kansas, Houston, or some of the other teams, Texas, to contend with. I think Bama's going to be the number 1 overall seed in about 2.5 weeks.
Man, I think if they close out the SEC with wins and at least get to the SEC tournament finals, it'd be hard to keep them from that. Houston, obviously, they've had a great season. Their strength of schedule may come into play. They've played some tough teams. They played Bama. Lost to Bama. But this is an Alabama team that does seem to have a lot of the pieces right now. The way they shoot threes, the way they rebound, and they defend at a strong rate too. So they're certainly, I don't know how they fall off the top line unless they lose out. You just don't see that happening. The games that they've lost, the Tennessee game and the game at Oklahoma most recently, and then Gonzaga earlier, they just didn't shoot the 3 ball as well. And teams in Oklahoma just scored on them a lot. So I don't know. They're going to be a tough out, and honestly, they look like a team that could have the weapons that take you a long way in the NCAA.
Let's talk some baseball with you, man. You got 18 straight games inside of Baum Walker Stadium. Tommy and I were talking about this earlier. Don't know if it's typically that many or if this is kind of unusual for them. But what does that tune for a team's confidence getting to play all these games at home and really starting their season out tonight?
Yeah, well, you're supposed to clean up in those 18, right? I was reading a story from Matt Jones from today that this is the longest home stretch for the Razorbacks since Dave Van Horn played for Arkansas in the 80s. And so that's a long, long way. I mean, that's at least, 4 weekends or 5 weekends at home with the mid-conference game, the mid-week games included. But it comes off of a stretch where 19 consecutive games away from home, which included the road trip to Bama to end the year, and then the SEC tournament, did not get a home regional. So Stillwater, Chapel Hill, and Omaha, and then in Arlington, 19 consecutive was the longest since Dave Van Horn has been the coach. So it's kind of weird that you get these two extremes to start. But hey, they lost a few games of this type last year. I remember covering, I believe it was a loss to Southeastern Louisiana, a loss to Illinois State, and so, but this will allow them to, I think, get their batting order, which we've already seen undergo some changes. And their pitching staff, Will McIntyre needs to have a stronger start this weekend. Kind of get them in order as they roll into SEC play.
Tom Murphy, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, Whole Hog Sports with us. What do you take away from the weekend in Arlington? You play one level of competition, obviously, with 2 ranked teams. 18 runs in the middle game you gave up. You score 18 in the final game. What were your big takeaways from a weekend where you played a pretty high level of competition to open the year?
Well, when you average all of it out, it comes out to Arkansas averaged 9 runs a game. Opponents averaged 7 runs a game, but it was a wild way they got there, allowing just 2 to Texas and 1 to Oklahoma State to close it out. And then the big blow up by the Horned Frogs, who wound up losing to Missouri in Game 3. So it looks to me like Missouri's tough. The SEC went 6-3. It looks like Hagen Smith has everything you want from a guy who's going to be your Friday night ace. And it looks like Hunter Holland is going to be a quality, either your Sunday guy or certainly a weekend starter. And then, they tinkered with the lineup some. They moved Jared Wegner down, and he had a huge weekend, and he was SEC Player of the Week. So it looks like Wegner and Slavin's right in the middle of your order are going to be good. It looks like Stovall may have gotten over a little early season jitter. And you want to find a way to get Caleb Cali back in the flow at third base and in the batting order, because he struck out a lot. So probably overeager, swinging at stuff that may have broken out of the zone. But I don't know. It's just you feel like they added quality pieces. A lot of these guys produced. I mean, Bolton at shortstop, the catchers all had some key hits. So off to a good start against that kind of competition.
You got Grambling today, Eastern Illinois. You get, I think it's Illinois State coming up, Wright State, some teams of that nature and caliber coming up before you get into SEC play next month. What do we need to see as you start seeing some names that maybe didn't enter the lineup or get into a rotation down in Arlington? What needs to happen during these 19 games to ready the Razorbacks for SEC play?
Just get some confidence. I mean, some of the guys came off the bench in the last game against Oklahoma State, produced, came in and got walks and drove in runs and stuff. So your bench is feeling pretty good. You want those guys to have confidence and understand that they have a role. Like I said earlier on Cali, get him some hits, and then also find out what order you want to use your pitchers. I mean, Brady Tigert got off to a great start, so it looks like he might be slotted for the closer role, but Gage Wood, some of the other guys, Adcock, it looks like Bybie's going to start tonight. So is he going to be your midweek dude? There's a lot of pitching roles that will be sorted out. And honestly, that's the kind of thing that they go through the season and continuously tinker with the guys who were hot. And you think about the way McIntyre closed out last year, there'll be somebody else who's like that. And so sorting out the Cody Franks and all the rest of the staff.
BetOnline remains your number one source for all your sports betting this season. Everything from the NFL and bowl season to esports. You'll find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends at BetOnline. BetOnline features live betting, free contests, and live scores for almost any sport or game imaginable. We're the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite leagues and events. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code BELIEVE to receive your rewards. That's BLEAV. BetOnline, where the game starts.